Get started. All right, my name is Dominique Curl, and welcome everybody to the Reentry Council. I wanted to go over a few announcements really quick before we get started with our speakers, and I'm really excited about our speakers today. We have Ben and Charlie with us, and they're going to talk to us about their reentry story. And first thing that I want to talk about is the event that we have for this month. On March 22nd, you're also going to see Ben and Charlie. They're going to be on a panel at the Smoot Theater from, we'll say 5 to 9 p.m. We're going to be there. We're going to do a SWOT analysis previous to the 7 o'clock premiere of the First Step Act. If you're not familiar with the First Step Act, it is an act that was passed through, the Supreme Court and through legislation, through the whole states to help people that were incarcerated get out if they had good behavior, and just a lot of different factors went into it. I actually have a participant I found out this week that was released early from federal prison due to this act. So he is actually going to join us too on March 22nd. We're going to be there early because we're going to be doing a SWOT analysis, SWOT. That is an analysis to see how well our county and community is doing with reentry, what we're doing good at, what we're doing bad at, what we need to change, what people are unhappy with, what people are happy with. We want both sides of the aisle to come together to talk about what their thoughts and feelings are on reentry and how well we're doing. So it's very important that anybody and everybody that you know can come. It's on a Friday night. You're going to get a free movie at the Smoot. If you guys don't know Felice at the Smoot, I've got the pleasure of meeting with her a couple times, and she's amazing, and that building is amazing. So I'm just excited that we get to have it there. And she has been very easy to get along with and accepted, let us have the building for next to nothing so that we could do this. Basically there will be a film crew there from the First Step Act, and they'll be filming us talking about reentry in West Virginia because the Kramer brothers that did the movie The First Step Act are also going to be doing a documentary in West Virginia on reentry. So if you come to the SWOT analysis, I would like you to RSVP to me at my work email and let me know that you're coming for that part of the meeting. And then I will send you out an official invite because you will be filmed potentially if you want to be. You don't necessarily have to be if you just want in on the discussion, but that's something that we will be doing. So I want to make you aware of that. And then we're going to watch the premiere. I'm guessing that's going to be from about 7 to 8. And then if you would like to stay over, we're going to have a panel presentation. We're going to have Wendy Tuck from the City Council, Scott Heckert from the House of Delegates, Ben Natch, and Charlie Patton, which it's going to say Snodgrass. I'm sorry, Charlie. I forgot you got married. So, a flyer will be going out. I have been sending a save the date. The producer is the one that is going to send us the marketing flyer, and I have not received it yet. So if you guys can just share the save the date that I've been sending out, and I will send it out today on social media on my personal page. Get that out to as many folks as you can, and I can also email it if you're on my personal reentry list, and we'll get that out to you guys. So that's really important. As far as events coming up, I think that's the main one that I really wanted to emphasize today. I will let you know that something in our community happened this week as far as reentry and recovery. Official letters went out to people that are on parole that they are no longer able to work in recovery if they are on parole, and they have 30 days to find another job if they are working in recovery. So that is we have found out that is a statewide rule. It's going to affect lots and lots of Jobs and Hope participants, as well as other people in the community that are in long-term recovery that are working as peers, or folks that have lived experience that are working in recovery centers. You're encouraged to send emails to me or to Bev to Bev So I will also give you that information to let us know who's impacted, how many folks are impacted, your thoughts are on it, so that we can get that sent to Bev so she can get stuff out to them on a statewide level to let it know how it's going to impact Wood County
Sorry.
and surrounding counties.
Is that for people just on parole or probation too?
So that has always been a rule for probation. I know that because when I worked at the public defender office, there were probation officers that said, no, you cannot work in recovery while on probation. So it's always been a rule on probation, and it's case by case. So they'll talk to you. It'll depend on what your situation is, and they'll say yes or no. Okay. So, but the letters that went out basically say that it's a mandated rule, and I feel like it's still going to be at the probation or parole officer's discretion, but I don't know that for certain. It could just be across the board. So we want to know the answers to those questions.
Do you have anything in writing that says that any documentation or anything that should sit out?
Sure. I'll send the email out that Bev sent me this morning, because she actually did send an email out, and I'll get that out requesting that anybody send her emails about. I can't participate in things like that have to do politically with either side of the fence. So I'm just going to pass the information along to you guys. But I do know that personally it's going to affect a lot of people that work in recovery, because a lot of people, I would say a large percentage of my caseload works in recovery, because that's a huge industry in our area, for one. And for two, a lot of people want to give back what they've been given, and they want to work in treatment or recovery to help others through what they've been through themselves. So I don't know what's going to happen. I think it's already getting a lot of publicity, I would say. So it's going to turn into a thing, I would say. So just stay up to date on what's going on with that. And if you work at a treatment center and you have people that are affected by that, then that would be good information to send. And or if you are an executive director of a recovery center and you're going to be losing employees, I think it's important to know that too, because a lot of employers have contacted me stating that they were going to lose people that that had been there a while, and people that they had just hired on. So
there's actually a website on Facebook you can go to. It's actually got a petition started.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, change.org.
Okay. Thank you, James. All right. So next I am going to turn it over to, this year, I really wanted to focus on, every year the Reentry Council has presenters from the community talk about what their organization does. And that is very helpful for people that are working in the community. But I think it would be also helpful if we heard from people that actually had to experience reentry firsthand, so that we can know what challenges they faced and what resources most helped them, or if there were resources that they think would have been helpful through their journey of reentry. So two people that I work with at Jobs and Hope that have been very successful on this process is Charlie and Ben. So Charlie is actually in a CDCA training right now to get her Ohio here, because she is killing it with education and training right now. So she just has a few-minute break. So she's going to go first, and then Ben will talk to us. He's here and Charlie's online. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Charlie.
Hello, everyone. I'm Charlie. My sobriety date is November the 28th, 2019. I am a certified peer recovery support specialist in Parkersburg, West Virginia, and I am taking my CACD training. So after today, I will be able to practice in Ohio as a drug counselor. I want to start briefly with just telling you guys that I was not raised around drugs and alcohol, that I knew. I did come from a divorced home where my father had to tell me he was an alcoholic. I'd never seen it. I can only remember one time that my dad was under the influence my whole life. I started getting in trouble and breaking the law at a very young age. At 15 years old, I was put into a group home. The state took custody custody of me and I was put into a group home. My mother would eventually come, she would get me, and we would go to Virginia. Most of my incarceration was here in West Virginia, but I do want to start, because it's very important to me, in Virginia, North Carolina. So around 16 years old, I committed my first crime with two adult males, both over the age of 18. I was the only juvenile and the only female. We were charged with breaking into my sister's home, which I did participate in. I went into her home to sleep because there was a teenage nightclub in North Carolina. And I went in there and slept, left the next day. Then the men came in her home and robbed her. So that is what I was charged with. I walked away with that at 16 years old. For me, it was a life sentence because in North Carolina, you are tried and convicted as an adult. So I walked out of that situation with 12 felonies that are still on my record today. Now, when I got to recovery this time, I am in the process of working on these North Carolina charges because I have spent the majority of my adult life as a fleeing felon from those charges. So in order to get my variance in the state of West Virginia and be able to work, I was able to hire an attorney that took care of the fleeing felon part. So I'm no longer running from those charges. My next step will be to get those charges expunged if I can. So at 16 years old, never been in trouble before, the only minor, I'm convicted with 12 felonies. In the back of my head, I'll never be able to do anything. I believed at that time that I would not even be able to take out student loans to go to college. So my goals were never high. I never had high goals from that point on. I would move back to West Virginia. I had my first daughter at around 19 years old. And CPS intervened. So through CPS has been the only time that treatment has ever been discussed with me. That was my first time ever hearing of any type of rehab. I went to rehab. I was able to get my daughter out of state's custody. I would have another child, and I did good for a little while, for years. Wasn't able to maintain it because I had nothing, no aftercare, nothing like that. I would end up using again and falling into a really dark place for about 6 years. During this 6 years, I will always advocate for sex trafficking and prostitution. I feel like that is what my purpose is for. Not only did I survive that, but I'm fully recovered from that. And I feel like that is truly my purpose, is to help women with that. So my life got really dark. I was in and out of jail. I have numerous misdemeanors. I was charged with felonies, but after the North Carolina juvenile cases, I was never again convicted of a felony. I have a lot of misdemeanors that prevent me. The reason why my misdemeanors can't be expunged and why they are so bad is because my children are my victims, that I was charged with child abuse and neglect. I would end up losing those two children, my two oldest children, for drug use. And my family has adopted them, and I do get to see those children. They're beautiful children. My oldest, I just have to brag about her for just 1 second. She was accepted into WVU's honor program. She will be in her own dorm, 4.5 grade point average. She's doing amazing in life. But those charges, for a long time, I never thought I would be able to work in recovery because I was unaware. I don't know if the variance is new or how that worked, but I had never heard of a variance until this time around. So again, I never had high hopes for myself. I was pregnant again with my third pregnancy in jail. Never did anyone give me any resources. I'm pregnant in jail. I've already lost 2 kids. Never was there any type of intervention. I got out, had that child, was able to sign her over to my father so I could still be in the home with her. Would end up, I'm in a really dark place in life. I am in and out of jail, committing crimes. I once again find myself pregnant in jail, with my 4th pregnancy and my 4th and 5th children. I'm pregnant with twins. When I walked in to the regional jail, I was 9 weeks pregnant with twins. And when I was able to walk out into an alternative sentencing, my twins were 2 weeks old. I gave birth to twins shackled to a bed with a correctional officer on each side of me. Never were there any type of intervention. The reason I knew about how to get my children from the hospital home was from other inmates. They explained to me the process that I had to do a grievance to the counselor, get a paper notarized, but never did anyone come to explain anything to me. So I'm 29 years old. I have a strong substance abuse history, and I'm having my 4th and 5th child, and never was rehab mentioned to me. It had been previously years ago, but this is my 2nd pregnancy in the regional jail. Nothing, no one ever came and talked to me one time. I would go home, some things happened. I was charged with child abuse and neglect for the last time. The twins, their father was able to get them. My other daughter went into state's custody, and that's what landed me in Parkersburg this time, where due to losing my other 2 children, I knew I didn't want to lose these children, so I was ready. And I was introduced to Alcoholics Anonymous. Dominique had already had a reputation in the recovery community. She is a blessing to us. She is someone I can count on throughout my 4 years of sobriety here. She's a big part of my success. The Jobs and Hope program is a humongous part of my journey. I would not be here without her. I also am a hard 12-stepper. Alcoholics Anonymous has helped me. Westbrook Health Services is somewhere that I could always run to. But never take for granted that moment you have with someone that's suffering from substance abuse disorder. You know, throughout my 16 years of drug use, I remember a police officer, that he impacted me. He told me I could do better. He believed in me. And I had a CPS worker that is now today one of my greatest friends that, she believed in me. She poured into me, which now I want to be that woman. I want to be a woman's woman. I want to figure out how to help other women, because that CPS worker took the time to believe in me and to help me, to give me the right resources and to connect me and link me with the right places. I get to be a mother today. I have full custody of my 3 children. One of my personal favorite accomplishments is that I sustain a lifestyle for these children. They are in private school. They're in dance and pageants and baseball and basketball. And, they're just living the life that I prayed for as a child. I have very smart, well-behaved children. I'm a member of a church. I'm a sponsor. I have almost 4.5 years sober. I'm a wife. I'm a peer. My life, when I got here this time, I had never had a driver's license. I had never held down a job. I was overcome with fear. I had never ran a home. I never even had my own apartment. I'm really living out my dreams. I owe that to the Parkersburg recovery community and people like Dominique, Alcoholics Anonymous, my church family. I have a beautiful support network. I want to talk about the challenges that I faced in my reentry. For me, I went straight from jail into a 28-day program. into a 28-day program into sober living. When 4.5 years ago, sober living was 6 months long. Sober living is now 3 months long. So I just want to reiterate, I had never had a job. I had never drove a car. I had never budgeted. I had no coping skills, and I had to finish sober living in 6 months in order to obtain my children back. For me, not a long time. In the beginning, I wasn't changing the behaviors that were necessary for me to recover. At this time, I was a fleeing felon. They have changed SNAP benefit laws and things like that. But 4 years ago, I wasn't even able to obtain food stamps in the beginning. So I found myself still doing things that were morally wrong for my recovery in order to sustain myself in sober living. Women are coming to sober living with no jobs. They have to pay rent, or they can't have their cell phone, or, you can't leave on a pass with no coping skills, but besides what we've learned in the street to survive. So that was really big for me. I didn't have the financial support to sustain me in sober living or the resources. Another big thing, which for me in Parkersburg, there's public transportation. But where I'm from, in my hometown, where I tried to get sober for so long, there was no transportation. There's no transportation to Alcoholics Anonymous meetings, or, services or things like that, to the food pantry, or to get clothing, or any type of resources. So those were the biggest barriers for me. Thank God we have peer services now where we can hold people's hand almost in the beginning. But so many places don't have peer services. Where I'm from, in my hometown in Fett County, Oak Hill, there's not peer services like Parkersburg has. So many places don't offer that yet. So those are the challenges that I've met. I think my biggest challenge today moving forward is my criminal record. I have to work towards, figuring out how to get some of those charges expunged. Especially the felonies in North Carolina. But again, my life is so wonderful. It's beyond anything I could have ever imagined. And I think that's all, Dominique, unless you have any questions for me. Are you there, Dominique?
I am. Thank you so much, Charlie. Does anybody have any questions for Charlie? I know her story is amazing. I've heard it several times, and Job Vision Hope actually, unfortunately, cannot help her with her charges in North Carolina for expungement. But we have helped several people in West Virginia get expungement. So that is another service that we offer. So I think I would contact Legal Aid in North Carolina, Charlie, because I know Ohio has a similar expungement program. And I would be happy to testify, write a letter, send a telegram, whatever you need me to do so you can make that happen, because I know you can. Thank you so much for joining us while you were in class today, and we appreciate it. Does anybody online have any questions for Charlie? I forgot to ask. Or comments? All right. Thank you so much, Charlie.
Thank you, Dominique.
Dominique, you're muted.
Thanks, Kurt. So that was, Charlie has an amazing story. I wanted to tell you guys, I'm sharing a photo in the chat of a participant that I worked with yesterday. I'm going to click on it to show everybody here too, to see if it'll let me get it larger. This is Sarah. I've worked with Sarah for since 2017. I actually was able to assist Sarah I met her while she was incarcerated when I worked at the public defender. She had an interview for her master's degree program yesterday, and this is her outside the courthouse yesterday getting all of her charges expunged. So it is possible to get an expungement. And that was something that happened yesterday that was really amazing. This is Marie Bechtel. You guys have heard from her. She's the legal aid representative that works for Jobs and Hope. To date, she has had several successes with expungement. It is a long, grueling, multiple paper process. So not as many as we would like due to the time restraints still, but we're making headway and we're getting farther. And so, I hope that we just continue. Legislation on expungement is very important. People don't want to wait 3 to 5 years to start their careers after they've gotten clean and sober. So that's something to be mindful of too. Next, I am happy to introduce Ben. Ben is a participant of Jobs and Hope, who is also works for the Hope Grows. You guys have heard me talk about him and the food that he's produced over at the Hope Grows greenhouse through Community Resources. But I'm going to let him talk more about that and his story, and he's in person. So just make sure everybody in the chat, let us know if you can hear Ben. Thanks, Ben.
So my name is Ben Nash. Sobriety date is January 28th, 2021. My story, I come from a great family. Grew up in Ohio. Never wanted for anything. Caring, loving family, sisters, mom, dad, everything. I had a great life. I chose to go down a dark road. And I, for the life of me, can't explain why. I first got in trouble and went to prison in Ohio when I was 25 for a theft charge for money for drugs. Every charge except for my most recent one is all thefts for drug money. I've been to jail or prison, Florida, South Carolina, West Virginia, and Ohio, running from charges of stealing from stores. Just a bad person. Overall, just a bad person. I didn't care. I didn't care if I lived or died. I didn't care who I hurt. Just one goal was to get high and wreak havoc. My most recent charge was for transporting drugs from California to West Virginia. I got 7 charges in the state of West Virginia that were charges but not convicted, and the federal feds picked it up. I went to Recovery Point in Parkersburg. And that place was a godsend for me. Taught me accountability, it taught me to be a man, it taught me what all of that was. And my dad tried, I just didn't listen. Recovery Point really saved my life. It gave me the year, just over a year, to work on dealing with emotions. First of all, learning what the emotions I actually were feeling were. I had a very bad problem of just running from everything. If I didn't like the way I was feeling, I would run. So it taught me to face those things. It taught me to care for people. I got 2 brothers sitting here with me today, and there's another Recovery Point brother on the Zoom meetings. It's a fellowship, a friendship, a bond that I've never had. So for me, it was that I give all the credit to Recovery Point for saving my life. Without it, I wouldn't be here. If I didn't get in trouble at 21, I would have been dead, either overdosed or murdered or something. I would not be standing here. So I've actually called the Narcotics Task Force in Parkersburg and thanked them because they really saved my life. Didn't feel like it at the time, but hindsight's 20/20, and they really helped me. So in and out of jails and prisons, since I was 25 till I was 36, 37. To be honest, I didn't care about reentry. I never cared. It wasn't a plan. It wasn't a goal. I didn't care about work. I didn't care about housing. It was fine being homeless. It's fine going from couch to couch. So I haven't had any of those issues until like this time around. The job thing, I'm not on parole. I'm on federal probation, but they don't have a problem with me working in recovery. They love it. So my job is safe. After completing Recovery Point, I became staff there, and I didn't really want to. I just knew I needed to stay connected. And the director asked me to work, and I did. Take simple suggestions. And it was the best. That was the best thing I ever chose to do. Gave me a steady paycheck. It kept me connected. It kept me helping people. And that's the most important thing that I have found in my life today is helping other people. Pretty much dedicated my life today to helping other people. Less fortunate addicts, it doesn't matter. As Dominique said, I was fortunate enough through her to get a job at Community Resources, being the Hope Rose coordinator. Never really grown anything in my life other than illegal substances. So I had no training, no knowledge. I just accepted the job and went at it full force. Turns out I love it. Growing vegetables became a really big passion of mine.
He is passionate about it to me.
And everything we grow goes to the food pantry to help low-income people, anybody in need of fresh food. Excuse me, sorry. The coming year, I've got plans for seed saving, giving away seedlings and education wise to help people to come to the food pantry, learn how to grow their own food. I would love to be able to have everyone have their own little backyard garden. It's not as hard as I thought it was. Plants are resilient. Just some water and some sun and they grow. And I think that's an attainable goal is to have everyone that comes through there grow some of their own stuff. Start small, but I think it can grow. So after becoming staff at Recovery Point, through Dominique, they helped me get my peer recovery support specialist classes and certification in the state of West Virginia. I've looked into Ohio, but they don't, like Dominique said, they don't let people on probation at all get it over there. So I have some years left to do that. That's fine. Being a recovery coach at Recovery Point has been one of the most rewarding things I've ever got the chance to do. Seeing guys come in fresh out of prison and jail, look horrible, I'll say. They look like I did when I got there. They're rough shape, and then helping them along the process. So through Community Resources, we help get their birth certificate, their ID, things like that. That's a huge issue with reentry. The jails and prison systems don't help anyone get those things. They give you a state identification prison card. It says it's good for 90 days, but no one accepts it. You might as well throw it in the trash when you leave. So people get out of prison and jail and have no identification, couldn't get a job if they were given one. So they'll help with all of that. So I help the guys at Recovery Point get that stuff. help them with housing, just all kinds of stuff. But to like see them come in for the day they get there, and then you somewhere along the process, some before others, some after, that you can see the light come on. You can see their mental situation switch, and they start enjoying life, and they start wanting things again. It's just an amazing process. None of that job, not a, and I couldn't have afforded to pay for the training if it wasn't for Jobs and Hope. It's how housing is another issue. As a felon, it's almost impossible to find housing on your own. There aren't any. If you don't have some sort of assistance through HUD or community resources or something, and even then, depending on your felonies, you get turned down. So you can turn your life around and still be faced with homelessness. For me, the biggest hurdles for reentry were housing, and identification, birth certificate, social security card, stuff that you need to get any job. And if you don't have a house, you can't, like that, you don't have a home, you can't put an address on an ID. So it's just a horrible circle of like no help, and nowhere to turn to. For me, that was my biggest problems with reentry, that I see. That wasn't a problem for me. My family kept my birth certificate, social security card, so I could easily get an ID. And not everyone's as lucky and fortunate as I am to have a family that do. But Recovery Point, I can't say it enough. Recovery Point saved my life. I wish there are numerous treatment centers in this community, but none of them that give you the time needed to actually sober up and work on things and create a better life for yourself. I wish we could clone that place and just put them everywhere. 28-day programs, 3-month programs, they genuinely think they mean well. They want to help. It's not enough time. They can't help. Occasionally, they might have someone that just comes through and is so ready that 28 days works. But if you're an addict and an alcoholic like I was, you need a year at least. Nothing else worked for me, but I'd like to thank Dominique for having me on talk. Community Resources, Caleb, thank you. My life is great today. It's not, I've put the work in, but I have been blessed with the people to trust me and put me in situations and allow me to grow, become who I am. Family support is essential. They used to not let me in their home. Now they're not even in town, but they let me stay there. I'm just blessed. That's all I can really say. It took a lot of hard work and dedication on my part, but I was fortunate the whole way through to go to Recovery Point, to have those people put in my life that actually cared about me. I didn't. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ben. I would just say that I always feel like it's a journey to recovery or reentry, and I'm always just an exit on their journey. And I love being that exit because stories like Ben and Charlie's, some days are really hard, but Ben and Charlie's stories are what gives me the inspiration to come back every day and keep doing it and show kindness to people. That's the most important thing. I could have been an annoyed, overworked case manager. If I can get that out to any of our community service workers, that's the most important that I can say. Charlie said it too. She never forgets like that one officer that was kind. She probably doesn't forget the ones that were mean too, but the one that was kind made an impact. So, I just think that's a valuable lesson that we can all learn. Trust me, I have bad days too. So, but I just try to remember that everybody that you meet is going through something that you know nothing about. And I wanted to make a comment on Recovery Point. Recovery Point, I was here for the start of Recovery Point. I've been a huge advocate for Recovery Point. I love all the other programs as well, but the people that are in Recovery Point that have completed Recovery Point have a lot of success with their recovery and continuing their education and career employment. But besides that, I noticed an overall human factor that they're better. I don't know better to say that. I just feel like all around they've been changed, like from their core, from the inside out. And I love it. I actually got to go to, one time I got to go to the Recovery Point where they do the accountability. What's it called? Community. Yeah, I got to attend community at Recovery Point. I don't know if they allow people to come in and sit in on that, but if they do, I would encourage you to sit in on that, and then you will really see like a whole nother approach to recovery that I feel like people that are in substance use for 20 years or 15 years or 10 years. I mean, those are the kind of hard conversations that you have to have. It's not pleasant. They point out your character flaws in front of a room full of people, but they also love you at the end of it and don't judge you for it. So it's just really amazing, the process at Recovery Point. I was trying to send you guys out the save the date on the chat. I think it's better, I'm better off to email it. Because that's all I have right now for the March 22nd event. But I do want to open the room up and see if anybody has any upcoming events. One last announcement that I do have though is Kurt is on here from WVUP today at 1 o'clock, and Lloyd. Hey, Lloyd. Lloyd and Kurt are very instrumental in creating the Collegiate Recovery Program. And it's a meeting that happens every other Friday at WVUP. If you're attending education and training and you have overcame addiction or any addictive behavior, it's a support group for you while you're attending college classes. I attend those classes. I've went the last few times because I'm going to school full time right now, and I have a whole new understanding of what my participants are doing, working, going to school, and doing all their recovery related thing. It is not for the weak at heart, for sure. So it's important that you have some kind of support. So that went out to everybody at WPUP, but if you guys could share that we do have that collegiate recovery meeting, that would be wonderful, because we want it to grow and be student led. And Kurt has been a valuable asset in getting that up and going at WVUP. So if you guys know anybody that's in college that would benefit from that, please let them know. And I think that's it. Who has any events that are coming up? Nobody in the room? Anybody online?
Hey, Dominique.
Yes.
All right. Well, first, thank you to Ben and to Charlie for sharing your stories and everything that you have done amazing things, and you continue to do things and pay it forward to the next group. So thank you for all that you do. Dominique, you just said it, you are able to understand what your participants are going through. And you and I have talked about it, that, it's hard to learn to juggle all of those things, that I always, had the, oh, never mind. I lost it. Forgot where I'm going with that. Anyhow, but thank you to everybody. The Restorative Justice Conference will be coming up June 14th and 15th, and registration will open for that, I think, on March 16th. We are finalizing the program and all of the speakers this weekend. So we will send out announcements for registration for that.
Oh, I'm so sad that I forgot that. That's going to be at the Westland College in Buchanan. It's $100 a ticket, right, Trisha?
I think so. So.
Yeah, and I think you get lodging, but we need as many people as we can to show up for Restorative Justice Conference as well. So I need to get that on my calendar as well, because I'm going to attend that too.
Yes. Yeah. As soon as As soon as registration goes live, I'll send it out to all of the councils so that everyone can get their registration in.
Okay, yes.
So, I'm Brian Howard, I work, Workforce Development Board, we do, part of our team, we do here, different things. Just had a meeting, with Sean Rubenstein, he's the principal at Parker Correction, running down in St. Mary's, I think. But we've started, our work in there, probably, hopefully monthly. The things there, sort of a transition, different things, doing, what's, out there, and they're very interested in hopefully attending meetings or speakers, so we can reach out to them if you have contacts there, Haley or, Donnie, they're planning to come soon, hopefully next month.
Yeah.
But we plan to go back in March, tag along, certainly we open that up, possibly to come along, we just, see the folks, get the names out there, the network of folks that are there and helping, at the prison there, at least in Parker, and it's a network within the state there as well. So, it's really eye-opening.
Yeah.
Where it starts, where the process starts.
Exactly. Yeah. It's so nice that they have the resources before they're released so that they know where to go when they get out. And those cards that we give out for the reentry council are very helpful too, because they go in their back pocket. Also Brightview, brought some bags for me to take out to the parole office for resources and stuff. And we work with the Parkersburg Correctional Facility and the adult ed program. We actually have reentry liaisons now at all of the, facilities. So Caitlin is my person that goes to St. Mary's, and so basically, but I love getting the information out to the people that are in incarceration so they know where to go when they get out. It's very important. If you guys have anything that you would like me to get to those facilities also, I can, get stuff in there, obviously within reason. So Kurt, do you have something?
Nothing in particular other than we're trying to encourage our collegiate wellness and recovery program, and just to wish everyone a joyful and blessed Easter.
Thank you so much, Kurt. All right, well, if that's it and nobody else has any announcements, I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys an extra 7 minutes of your day or 10 minutes of your day back. All right, thank you guys for joining me. Also, please let me know if you have a presenter that would like to present at any of the upcoming reentry councils. I've got Rich Ward is going to be presenting next month, and with the Division of Rehab Services, so join us for that. And then also, I would like people that have lived experience to contact me if they would like to tell their story. So thanks, guys, and have a great day.